Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at a new gun by Sig called the P320 XTen, which is their 10mm version of their Sig P320. So basically we're starting with the P320 RXP full size, and we have basically the exact same features. We have the new X series frame. We have we have the rear and forward slide serrations. But now let's take a look at the new pistol. Much like Glock, you have a different size frame for the 10mm and for the 9mm. So you do have a much larger frame, as we can see when we take a look at these side by side. So you definitely see one is much heavier, one is much more built, because the 10mm happens to be a very, very powerful cartridge. It's very much beats up the pistols. There's very few pistols that will hold up to the recoil. You know, some of the most popular pistols that we have right now in 10mm, of course, is the Colt Delta 1911, which is one of the ones that's had a lot of serious issues over the years as far as durability. The Bren 10, which was the original 10mm, which also had a severe amount of durability issues. And then came the Glock 20. The Glock 20, in my opinion, was probably one of the first successful 10mm pistols that was able to hold up to the punishment of the 10mm cartridge. And then, of course, we had the XT series came out, and we've had a couple others that have come out as well. So, I do believe Smith & Wesson had one as well. Well, Sig just came out with theirs, and we wanted to get it as soon as we could to do some testing on it. Now, taking a look at this pistol, this is set up for a red dot sight, but we did have a red dot sight on it. However, we took it off just due to the fact that the last test that we did was a comparison between these two, which was the iron sight, so I didn't really want to give an unfair advantage to the Sig for as far as the accuracy was concerned. But the sight that we did put on here was the Romeo 2 red dot. It was an MSRP of $660. It's a 3 MOA dot CR2032 battery. And this is sort of neat because it has a couple different features too. It has two different steel shrouds. One is a complete shroud, one's a half shroud. It also comes with this pretty interesting piece of neoprene or polymer that seals up the back of it as well. So this is submersible and it's not going to be damaged during being submerged in water. But this was on for the initial accuracy testing and most of the initial firing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this pistol and see what we got here. So again, we have a 10mm. Comes with two 15-round steel magazines. The sights that come on this are the X-Ray 3, which are the tritium night sights that you see on here. But of course, these can have many different kinds of sights placed on them. Again, the removable plate for the red dot. You have an overall length of 8.5 inches and a width of 1.3 inches. And the height, you're looking at about 5.6. The barrel is carbon steel, and it's 5 inches in length. Weight, 33 ounces. It's not too bad as far as weight. And of course, we have a mil standard 1913 rail here on the bottom. Now, the trigger on here is really what makes this thing shine. It's a standard X series trigger with a straight trigger instead of the curved trigger. And the slide is made of a single piece of stainless steel nitron finish, and it is optics ready. So basically, everything else about it is the exact same as you would find with any Sig P320. For as far as safeties are concerned, you do have your firing pin safety, which again is the most important. You do have your drop safety. You don't have any of the tit in the middle here like you do with the Glock. And for disassembly, make sure it's empty, pull back. And we have this disassembling latch release lever here. We're going to push down, and we're going to drop forward, and we're going to take that slide right off. Again, one of the benefits of the P320 series is that you don't have to dry fire the pistol in order to remove the slide. Of course, inside here you can see our removable chassis, which again, we're not going to bother doing that because, again, as wonderful as people say about the removable chassis, I think it's something that's going to be very, very rarely used. In the case of this pistol here, this is the only frame there is out for it. So, again, it's a neat feature, but how significant is it to the design, I'm not really that sure. Looking at the pistol, we do have a very, very strong recoil spring, and this is a flat recoil spring. Again, this is a flat recoil spring, which are a lot more powerful or more strong than the standard rocket wire because you have a lot more bearing surface. It allows you to compress a lot more, so it gives you a lot more strength. This is captive, and this is a steel rod instead of the plastic rod you see on many of the other ones. And of course, you do have your barrel on here. Now, the only thing I'm sort of disappointed to see is that Sig is not yet, hopefully they will, you will see a threaded barrel for this at some point. But, again, with the cartridge that this thing fires, it's pretty potent. I can't see too many suppressors having issues with it. But it certainly would tame down the blast quite a bit. For reassembly, again, you're just dropping the barrel right back in. Make sure we have our recoil spring in there. Its proper location. We're going to drop that back on this frame. There we have it. Now, looking at this trigger, the trigger breaks at a really even 4 pounds. Not a lot of creep. It's a very, very nice trigger. This is probably one of the really big benefits of this over most any of the other 10 millimeters that are out there, probably short of the Colt 1911 type, which does have a 1911 trigger, which is also going to be very, very nice. So, again, the feel, again, when somebody has relatively large hands, it fits really, really well. Now, for as far as the test firing was concerned, now, most of the ammunition that we used was, again, it was Sig ammunition. Most of the time when I do test Sig guns, I like to show Sig as a system because they provide the ammunition, they provide the optics, the firearm, and in some cases also the flashlights as well. So we did fire quite a bit of the 180 grain full metal jacket 10 millimeter, and again some of the V Crown. But we did have quite a bit of other ammunition we tested as well. 10 millimeter ammunition is a little on the expensive side. I didn't have a lot of it, but we did fire about 360 rounds, which would include Federal American Eagle 180 grain full metal jacket. Again, the Sig Sauer 10 millimeter 180 grain full metal jacket. Remington UMC 10 millimeter 180 grain full metal jacket. Buffalo Bore 10 millimeter 200 grain full metal jacket, which that's when we really get into what the true 10 millimeter pressures are. And then the double tap 10 millimeter 135 grain jacketed hollow point. Again, now we really get into what the 10 millimeter is capable of doing, as well as the Sig V Crown. And we also had a couple of Federal rounds as well. We had the Federal 180 grain Hydroshock jacketed hollow point, and lastly the Hornady 180 grain critical duty flex lock. Now, again, 360 rounds, not a single malfunction of anything that was used. This thing was able to digest everything. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take it to the range and you're going to see how it shoots. As you can see from our target, this pistol shot very, very well. That one was with using the red dot sight. Quite frankly, they were no different at the 25 yards than with or without the iron sights. They shot just as well. As you can see, we were shooting our challenge target. You know, these things here, we find a lot of enjoyment out of shooting these things with that immediate feedback. If you're interested in looking at getting some good steel targets, you can check out Challenge Target's website. You can save 10% on all steel challenge targets with using the code SAS. Now's the big question. P320 XTen versus the Glock 20. So, again, these probably are the two most prolific pistols that are out there, I think, in this caliber, at least two ones that will be my pistols of choice in this caliber. Now, obviously, you know, the Glock has been around for a long time and is probably one of the first, if not the first, successful 10 millimeter pistol. So we do have quite a bit of a history with this one for as far as its durability and reliability, where with the Sig P320 XTen, it's still very, very new. But let's do a little bit of a comparison between the two. When we do some comparisons between the two, they both have a 15-round magazine capacity. They both have tritium night sights. Overall length of the Sig is 8.5 inches. The Glock is 8.07 inches. The overall width, 1.3 for both. We have a barrel length of 5 inches on the Sig and 4.61 on the Glock. We have a weight, very little difference, but we do have slightly lighter on the Glock side. The Sig is 33 ounces. The Glock is 27.5 ounces. Now, the trigger is where these two really, really separate each other. Now, the P320 XTen, 4 pounds. The Glock, 7.1 pound. When you really look at all the stats on these two pistols are very much the same on paper. For as far as the feel is concerned, we're getting into a little bit more of personal preference now. I have to say, for as far as the feel is concerned, the Sig with its the X series frame is a lot more comfortable. It's a lot less boxy. It's a lot more ergonomic. But the real area of shining is the trigger. The trigger on the Sig P320 is drastically better than that on the Glock. Now, the Glock pistols are not known for having great triggers. That was never one of the things that Sig or the Glock was known for. What it was known for was to have a good military-grade trigger, that your first shot was the same as your last shot. So it was never really designed to be more of a precision-type trigger. That is the area where the Sig P320 XTen really outshines over the Glock. For as far as comparing the two for durability and reliability, the Glock has been shot extensively with the same kinds of ammunition I shot out of this. There was no difference in reliability. Again, accuracy, I can't say one was more accurate than the other. The only things that really stood out, again, was the feel of the frame, the trigger way so much, and also I would say the fact that we had a red dot on here, which, in all fairness to Glock, this is a Gen 4 that does not have the ability to put on the red dot, but Glock does offer some that do have that as well. So when you look at prices, you're looking at $800 versus $650. So the Sig is a little bit more expensive than the Glock. So again, you can look at whatever you like for the Glock. For as far as the barrels are concerned, you do have your polygon rifling, cold hammer forged barrel on the Glock, where you have conventional rifling on the Sig. Well, what does that mean to you? Well, that means that if you want to get some of the Buffalo Bore 200 grain or heavier solid hard cast bullets, you're going to be able to fire them out of the Sig, where you're not really going to be able to do that with the Glock. So that's one of the benefits of having this type of a conventional rifling versus the polygon. But if you're using copper bullets or jacketed bullets, either way, there's not much of a difference. So really, when you're looking at the both of them, it always comes down to personal preference in a lot of ways. From a mechanical standpoint, there's no way to really say one of these is better than the other than the trigger. The trigger, I would say anybody who was to fire these things side by side, they would automatically probably shoot a little bit better with the Sig because of the fact that that trigger is so much better. It's so much lighter. You don't have the same kind of a feeling that you do with this as being a striker-fired pistol, of it cocking that striker spring back. You feel that with this, and you also have the little tint in the middle that does affect the middle of your finger. You do feel that when you pull the trigger on here, whereas you don't really with the Glock. And again, we spoke a little bit earlier about reliability. This pistol's been around for a long time, and it's got a good reputation for reliability. This is brand new, so this is going to have to put its time in to get its reputation for durability and reliability. But overall, my choice between the two, it would be this one, and it would be solely based off of the significantly better trigger and the better feel of the frame to me. It wouldn't really be based off of too much mechanical at all, because again, they both function rather well. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.